Why do people lack faith? Why it is so hard to see the truth? A biblical, spiritual, and philosophical exploration. Why is faith so difficult for some and so natural for others? Why do many people struggle to see the truth, not just about God, but about themselves and the world around them? The answer is not that faith is rare or hard to find. It's that we've been conditioned to overlook what has always been within us. Today, we'll explore why faith feels distant to so many and how we can return to the truth that has never left us. By looking at scriptures, spirituality, and philosophy, we'll uncover what has been hidden in plain sight. The conditioned mind versus the pure mind, God. Biblical perspective. The battle between two minds. Paul speaks of this in Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The pattern of this world keeps people trapped in fear. Jesus said in Luke 17:21, the kingdom of God is within you. Yet many search for God as he is distant, somewhere outside themselves. They believe they must find faith through a religious institution, a holy place, or miraculous events. But Jesus tells us clearly the kingdom is within. That means faith is not about reaching for something external, but about awakening to what has always been present inside us. The distractions, doubt, and fears of this world only clouds our ability to see it. Plato's cave and the illusion of reality. Plato, one of history's greatest thinkers, illustrated human ignorance with his allegory of the cave. Imagine people chained inside a cave, seeing only shadows cast on the wall. Having never seen anything else, they believe the shadows are reality. One day a prisoner escapes and steps into the sunlight, realizing that what he once believed was real was merely an illusion. This is what faith is like. Many are trapped in the cave of materialism and surface level reality, mistaking the temporary for the eternal. It takes a spiritual awakening to step into the true light, to see beyond the illusions of this world. Why do people lack faith? Fear and uncertainty. The resistance to letting go. Biblical. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy verse 7. Fear is the greatest enemy of faith. Many people resist faith because it requires letting go of control, letting go of certainty, of the idea that we can fully understand everything. The human mind seeks security, but faith calls us to trust in what we cannot yet see. Soren Kierkegaard described faith as a leap into the unknown. He said that most people struggle with faith because they want absolute certainty before they trust. But true faith requires trust before certainty. Spiritual. Faith is not a matter of intellect. It is a matter of experience. Those who lack faith have often never felt God's presence, either because they have been conditioned to ignore it or because fear keeps their heart closed. The distractions of the material world, the noise that drowns out faith. Biblical. Do not love the world or the things in the world. 1 John 2 verse 15. The modern world is full of distractions, constant entertainment, social media, material ambitions. These things demand so much of your attention that we leave no space for stillness, no space for the voice of God. Blaise Pascal observed, All of humanity's problems stem by man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. People avoid stillness because in silence they must confront themselves. And for many, this is deeply uncomfortable. They would rather distract themselves than face their own doubts, fears, and the deeper question of life. Spiritual. Faith requires turning inward. The world tells us to look outward for happiness, for answers, for validations, but scriptures tells us the opposite, to seek the kingdom of God within. Pain and suffering, the great test of faith, biblical. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. John 16, verse 33. Many lose faith when they are faced with hardship, asking if God is real. Why does he allow suffering? But suffering is not a sign of God's absence. It is often the greater opportunity for spiritual growth. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a way to live can bear almost anyhow." When people lack faith, they often lack a why, a sense of deeper purpose that gives meaning to their struggles. Faith does not eliminate suffering, but it gives suffering meaning. Spiritual. Many saints, mystics, and enlightened beings did not find faith in spite of suffering, but through it. Hardship can refine and strengthen faith when seen from a higher perspective. Faith is a return to what we already know. Biblical. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8, verse 32. Faith is not about learning something new. It is about remembering what is already true. Socrates taught that wisdom is not about acquiring knowledge, but uncovering what has always been within. Faith is the same. It is not something external that we find, but something internal that we awaken to. Spiritual. The spiritual journey of faith is not about reaching something distant. It is about removing the distractions, fears, and illusions that keep us from seeing the truth that has been present all along. Thank you for watching. What has been your biggest barrier to faith? How do you reconcile the Bible's message that the kingdom of heaven is within you with everyday struggles? Can you relate to the experience of stepping out of the shadow and into your truth, similar to Plato's allegory of the cave? How has your understanding of faith changed or deepened through personal challenges? In your experience, how does the noise of the modern world impact your ability to connect with your inner faith? Socrates believed that wisdom involves uncovering what is already within us. How does this perspective resonate with your spiritual or philosophical views? How do you practice renewing your mind as advised in Romans 12:2? What role does fear play in your spiritual journey? How do you find meaning in suffering, reflecting on Nietzsche's idea that those who have a why can endure almost anyhow? What steps are you taking to remove distractions and illusions that cloud your vision of truth?